I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called The Sun. It came out 2019. It's an hour and a half long. Spoiler alert. Let's just get it. We start off in the house. We got this couple, Lorenzo and Sigrid, and right now they getting down to business, or should I say, giving the business. Then Lorenzo go downstairs to paint because that's his hobby. Yeah, man, that's what he does. He wants Ingrid to go to this gallery thing. She's reluctant at first, but then she's like, all right, let's go. Then we fast forward to present time with this girl named Juliet. Is bailing Lorenzo out of jail. How the heck this take place? The times are definitely going to be jumping back and forth between this one. So back then, they was on their way to the gallery. They go to meet this guy named Renato and his wife, Juliet. They chilling, enjoying themselves at the exhibit. They don't want any wine or anything. They drink water. The thing is, she's trying to have a baby, and he's been sober for about 2 years. Then Lorenzo and Juliet go around exploring with everything, and what the fuck is that in the background? That picture is crazy. So anyways, they're getting the bags and stuff. We found out Lorenzo and Juliet had a past. They smashed at one point in time. Then we found out from Juliet that Lorenzo actually did have an ex-wife who had 2 kids he had 2 daughters, but they both live in Canada. The first marriage didn't really end on good terms for Lorenzo. Anyway, Ingrid's ready to go. She's ready to dip out. You can tell Ingrid don't want to be around a bunch of people, especially Julia. Then we get back to real time with him getting out of jail. So Julia's supposed to be representing him right now. She tells him to get his story straight. The story has something to do with his future son, and how his wife has been keeping him separate. But more parts of that will come in later. So now we're going backwards again to an art gallery exhibit. Art gallery exhibition. Why the heck I can't talk right now? And everybody shows up, including Julia. You can tell how close they are because they spend a lot of time with each other. Then his wife Ingrid calls for him. She's ready to get out of here because she's feeling sick. He's like, can we stay a little bit longer? I still got to finish up the exhibit. And that's what Ingrid tells him. She's pregnant. I'm like, oh shit. The celebration. Realization kicking in. Now we're back to real time again. So Lorenzo's in a position where Ingrid is not letting him see his son. She also put a 90-day restraining order on him. And he ends up spazzing out. But we're still not sure why all this came about. Then we backtracked to when she was like 4 or 5 months pregnant. She didn't want to know what the baby was, but he already knew it was a boy. This is the 3rd doctor they went to. Then they head back to the house. Now back in real time, they had to put Lorenzo into a psychiatric mental ward. But the question is, why do they think this guy's crazy if he's just trying to see his son? Then we go back to when Lorenzo and Ingrid got home, going back to his usual painting. Then when he goes upstairs to put his stuff away, he catches Ingrid sitting outside just chilling, right? But then he looks through a scope and he sees her with a needle in her hand, like, what the fuck is she doing? And she injects something into her stomach, like, what the fuck? So he goes downstairs trying to figure out what the fuck is she doing. She's like, don't worry about it, it's all part of the procedure. Like, what procedure? Back in real time, Juliet and Renato get Lorenzo out of a psychiatric ward or whatever. And they're basically gonna take him back to their house. She says she can't represent him as a client no more, and he instantly gets pissed off. But why is it she can't represent him though? He's gone under psychiatric procedures? Like, what's the deal? So we go back in time, he's frustrated, he can't even open a can of paint, he cuts his hand open. Then he comes downstairs and finds this lady. Turns out she's gonna be the caretaker when the baby's born. But right at the back, he don't trust this bitch. But the thing is, she's all for it. I guess he's gonna do whatever he can to make her happy, so he's like, alright. Then he goes downstairs to their little basement area, and as he's going down there to get a first aid kit for his hand, he notices all these diagram charts about making babies. Crazy ass evolutionary books and whatnot. He doesn't know if Ingrid had these or these are the books that Nanny brought in, but something's up. Back in real time, Renato dropped Lorenzo off into his real apartment, and he's gonna basically just chill out and paint there. Then we go back to a scene where they're all just sitting down, chilling, eating at the table. And at this point, he really don't trust Ingrid or the nanny, or pretty much anybody in this house. And you kind of feel like she's on board with anything the nanny's telling her. But later on, she tries to reassure him that everything's all good and gravy, and he's back on board, but he can still tell something's off. When he wakes up in the middle of the night, finds out that she's gone, and that they're about to have the baby in the other room with the nanny. Meanwhile, he's locked out and shit. Now, at the beginning, she wanted to make sure that she had an in-house birth because it's tradition in her family. This is a tradition to leave your husband out of the loop? I mean, goddamn. So he was locked out pretty much the rest of the night until the nanny came to the door and said, you can come in now. And he was able to see his son. Now, back in real time, he's been getting fucked up driving around, following the nanny after leaving out the house. She drops off this child with the lady at the school. He goes up to the door saying that that's his uncle or whatever. But she tells him to pinpoint his baby out. And he's looking like he can't even distinguish which one is his. So she probably thinks there's something wrong with him. He's like, I'm gonna need you to get up out of here right now. He dips out and goes back to his apartment. Then we go backwards again where he invites Julia and Renato to his household or whatever. And they want to see the baby, but she's taking her sweet time. The thing is, she hasn't let the baby go outside of the house or even outside of the room in the last 6 months. They want to keep the baby indoors. They don't want to allergic to sunlight, all this other stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? So eventually she finally comes out, shows them the baby. Then afterwards, she goes back in the room. Then after they dip out, the nanny starts feeding the baby grounded up beef, like some type of livers. Like, what kind of shit? And of course, the baby not eating it. He thinks the baby might have a fever or something. So he tries painting to take his mind off it. But he's frustrated as hell, and he's like, man, I had enough of this shit. So while he's trying to take care of the baby, he's like, look, man, the baby's sick. I'm taking her to the hospital. They try to stop him from leaving. But then as she grabs him, he ended up pushing her to the ground by accident. I mean, she was scratching his neck all up. And all he's trying to do is get the baby to the hospital. So after he gets there, finds out everything is normal. The thing is, he ain't got no insurance. So he tells her everything's fine, brings the baby back to her. And then the police are there all of a sudden say they got a domestic violence call. He can't go back at his house. They say, you gotta leave out here before you get arrested. So at this little point, he wasn't living in his apartment or anything like that. He legit had nowhere else to go. But as you can clearly see, all he was trying to do was get the baby to the hospital. Then all this other bullshit comes up on him. This is when he goes to Julia's house and explains his story about everything that happened. Ends up spending the night there. See, he don't look as crazy as he seems, right? They're trying to help him out, but the way it sounds, they think the judges are not gonna fall for his favor, especially the fact that he has 2 other kids that are in Canada right now. With another ex-wife on top of that, so basically, he's in some deep shit. Alright, so this is where the story picks up from here. 3 months later, the 90-day restraining order is up. He's all cleaned up and he's ready to go see his son. He was staying with Juliet and them that entire time. He also made his son a toy, so he's ready to go present it to him too. Gets to the house, this bitch answers the door, and she lets him in, and I'm like, oh, so casually, huh? She leads him upstairs to a room with this little boy, but as he looks at him closely, he realizes that's not his son. Wait a minute, this bitch tried to fake him out? He searches all over the house looking for Ingrid, and her and his real son are locked in that daggone basement. He's trying to pry the door open to get in, but the nanny called the police to get him up out of there. That's when the police guy slammed his head against the door, and this was the reason why he was taken to jail at the beginning of the movie. So now you see he was locked up on some bullshit. They basically got a fake baby, so he could be confused and never find a real baby, because she didn't want to ever go in there as a real baby again. Man, that's some fucked up shit. Where'd they get that other baby from? Did they have to just adopt another one? Well, anyway, after that, he meets up with Julia at work. He wanted to drop off this painting that he made. He's been making for a while. Actually, the same painting he was making at the beginning of the movie. She's not really trying to represent him as a lawyer. She does expect, accept his apology and all that. But she's starting to see the circumstances of what's being taking place. Basically, he's got to meet up with Ingrid so he can see the baby again. But she's basically trying to divorce him. When they get to the courtroom, she's basically trying to travel out of the state with a baby. Basically signing over his rights to never be able to see him again. At first he's like, fuck that, I'm not doing that shit. The crazy thing about it is they really don't need him to sign that. And I'm like, that's bullshit, man. So after much deliberating, he agrees to her terms, but only on one condition. That she lets him see the baby tomorrow for the whole day. I feel like he's got some type of plan to be agreeing to this. Next day they go by the house to get the baby, and clearly he knows that's not his son, but he's about to go with Julia. Straps him in the car, and Julia's like, hey, aren't you happy to have your son? But he knows clearly that's not his son. So he's got them taking care of the boy. Meanwhile, he's got other plans. He sneaks out and drives back over to the house. And I'm thinking to myself, he's probably gonna kill this bitch. He's about to sneak it through a window at the top of the house. He gets up there, they realize he's gone, they about to start looking for him. Lorenzo's trying to sneak downstairs, sees a bunch of bags packed. He sees the basement door open, so he sneaks down in there, while the nanny and Ingrid are in the kitchen. I'm thinking to myself, he's trying to get his baby. I'm thinking to myself, he should have just killed them bitches while they was in the kitchen. Meanwhile, they end up going to Lorenzo's apartment to try to find him. He's not there. And they see all these crazy pictures he had on his wall. Especially this one, what the fuck? I don't even know what to make of this. He's down in the basement, he finds his real son sleeping down there. All of a sudden, Ingrid creeps downstairs with a freaking sniper rifle, and she got the drop on you, damn it. And at this moment, yeah, you're pretty much fucked. I told you should have killed them bitches when they was in the kitchen. So then Julia and Ronaldo decide that, yeah, we might as well go back to that house. Nobody's answering the door, but they do see Lorenzo's car over in the distance. She throws a rock in the window to see what's down there at the bottom. And you can tell by the music, it ain't good. Police on the scene, and they found Lorenzo dead as shit. No sign of Ingrid, the nanny, or the baby. They didn't all dip the fuck out. Julia's always been trying to have a child, but she's always had miscarriages. So basically, they're going to be responsible for taking care of this child, who they thought was Lorenzo's son anyway. 2 years go by, and I'm not sure where they're at. Maybe they're on vacation or something. But Julia's about to go to the gift shop and get some ice cream or something. But as she's doing that, she sees the fucking nanny walking around. So at this point, she starts following her. She follows her back to this abandoned house, where both her and Ingrid are living at doing chores and shit. She sneaks around the back and hears a baby crying. And the last thing we see is her looking at the image of the baby. But we never see what the baby looked like anymore. It was like every time they kept not showing his real baby, it was like, what was he supposed to look, grotesque or something? Like they never showed us. She get away with the kid, end up killing her husband. It's like some bullshit, man. I'm mad. The Son on Netflix. Check it out. Like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Like these are the easy best times. Oh, big. Good goddamn slogan.